What's up, beautiful people? Now, today's episode is a bit different. Today we'll be covering the elephant in the room, and this is the news that came out yesterday from one of the biggest proprietary trading firms that they had ceased their operations temporarily. Now, the prop firm I'm talking about is MYFOREXFUNDS, or popularly known as MFF. And if you go to their website, you will see this message right here. Right, so they give a message that they have temporarily switched off or turned off their services or access to their services till about September 11th, when they'll have the first court date. Now, for some of us traders, myself included, we did have accounts. So some people had evaluation accounts, or what's popularly known as challenge accounts. Others did have live accounts, and in the live accounts, that's when you actually get paid from this account depending on the profit that you make. Now, to some of us, this might come as kind of a down moment, right? Because these are definitely consistent or have been consistent forms of income as a trader. Now, here's the beauty of this situation as well. MYFOREXFUNDS is just one of multiple prop firms out there. And let me go over the idea of a prop firm just in brief to those of you who might not know about prop firms. Now, in the world of trading, you normally have to have an account with a broker for you to be able to trade in the markets, right? Now, for most people, even for me when I was starting, normally what you would do, you would fund a trading account or a brokerage account using your own personal funds. Now, what this happens is that, for example, let's say you have $20,000 to spare, or $10,000, or even $5,000. So you would then fund this into a broker, and then you'd trade your own live money, right? Now, what is one of the major risks of this way of going about to trade? So one way is, of course, you put your whole capital, your personal funds, at risk of loss, like losing your own money. So even for me, when I started trading, I actually lost a bunch of money because I never knew about the prop firm model. Now, the prop firm model is ideally there's these companies out there, and they're called proprietary trading companies, that will fund you their own money. So they will give you access to a X amount of capital, but then you have to pass what they call evaluations or challenges. So the most common ones with big companies, so they normally have two challenges or two phases in a challenge. So you have phase 1 and phase 2. So during the first phase, they will fund you anywhere from starting to $5,000 all the way to $500,000. Now, during the first phase, now stay with me, during the first phase, you need to show that you can make between 8% or 10%. So the average is, let's just call it 8% for the sake of this video. So once you've made 8%, you advance to the next phase. Now, during this first phase, they also have some objectives that you need to meet. So not only do you have a profit target, but you also have a level below which the account balance should not go below. So for most of them, it will be you can't go daily. For your daily balance cannot go below 5% of the account value that you started off at the beginning of the day. Also, overall, you can't go below, and I'll just do on average, overall, you can't go below 10%. So it's normally 10 to 12%. So overall, you can't go below 10 or 12% of the account that you're trading. So let me give you guys an example, a practical example. So let's say you have you're taking a 100K challenge, a $100,000 challenge. So what this means is that at any given day, so on day 1, your account value should not go below $95,000. And then overall, so let's say today you go to 96,000. So ideally you lose 4,000, right? So in the next day, same thing. Your account value should not go below 5,000 less 96. So shouldn't go below 91,000. Now, as much as you have the daily drawdown, you also have the max drawdown. So like for most of them on average, I'll just call it 10%. You shouldn't go below 10%. So which means if you have like a $100,000 account, which is the common account a good amount of people use, daily, you shouldn't go below 5,000, below whatever balance you're starting off at. And then overall, your account value shouldn't go below $90,000. So that's the idea. So if you do go below your daily drawdown or your max drawdown, you lose your account or you lose the challenge. Now, also, to get access to this account, you would ideally have to pay an audition fee or a challenge fee. So the common number for like a 100K account is about 500 on average. And then, of course, like a 50K is like 250, 200, 230, depending on the prop firm. So the idea here is that these prop firms are telling you, and which is a good route that a lot of traders have gone in order to build their own capital and in order to build their own funding or consistency models. Now, because here the idea they're telling you, instead of you putting your $20,000 and risking it all on the line, you can come to us and you can pay anywhere between $50 to, let's say, $1,500, depending on what account you are auditioning for or being challenged on. And then once you pass phase one, so phase one on average is about, you have like a 8% to 10% profit target. So long as you don't breach the daily drawdown rules or the max drawdown rules, you then proceed to phase two. In phase two, your profit target for most of this, it's ideally half of what it was in your phase one. So you would go to about a profit target of 5% in phase two. And also your max drawdown and your daily drawdown rules still apply. So don't go below 5% in any given day. And overall account value should not go below about 10%. And then once you pass phase two, you then become a funded trader. So that's what maybe some of you have heard about becoming a funded trader, or you've seen people on YouTube saying, I'm a 7-figure funded trader. So most of these people, they're funded using prop firms and not really their account or their personal funds. So once you become a funded trader, the daily drawdown still remains. So you shouldn't go past a certain amount in any given day. And also the max drawdown still remains. Now, what is taken out is the profit target. So at that point, whatever you make, so long as it's above, so let's say you've gotten funded using a 100K account, whatever you make over 100K at the end of the month or at the end of 2 weeks, depending on when your profit split is, then they will give you, so let's say you have a profit split of on average 80%. So for most of these prop firms, they will be like, okay, we are going to do an 80-20 profit split in favor of you. So you'll be taking 80% of what you make and we take 20%. So let's say during month one, you've made in a 100K account, you made 10%, which is, again, there's no profit targets, or once you're funded, you can choose to make $1,000 and you're done. You can choose to make 2,000. You can even choose to make $100 and then you're done. You wait for your profit split. So when it's time for you to get your profit split, so let's assume you have a 10K profit for that month, they will pay you $8,000 and then they keep $2,000. So that's ideally the prop firm model. So what we're talking, the news that came out yesterday using through MYFOREXFUNDS, which is one of the biggest proprietary or prop firms out there, it sent a lot of shockwaves in the trading market. Now, again, I don't like focusing on the negativity. So I just want us to think of how this situation has some positives. Now, this morning when I was doing one of the live trading sessions that I normally do at our club, I thought of this analogy, right? So if you guys, so think back with me. So for you guys who've probably watched Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie, Iron Man 1, you guys remember how Tony Stark was kidnapped when he was doing weapons testing in the Middle East. And then his kidnappers put him in a bunker or in a cave, ideally. So Tony Stark was still smart, right? By then he wasn't Iron Man. So he was smart and he was always looking for ways to escape this cave. And you know what he did? He built his first Iron Man suit in a cave and he was using scraps. Now the idea here is that same way how some of these prop firms, they might be having issues or some of them might go down eventually. One thing they can never take away, just as in Tony Stark, one thing they can never take away is this. So if you are a skilled trader, if you are a disciplined and consistent trader, it doesn't matter whether MFF, the other big prop firm out there is like FTMO. So it doesn't matter whether MFF goes away. It doesn't matter whether FTMO goes away. whatever you've learned as a trader, which is why for me, I always push for forgetting about the money. And I just made a video of this the other day. Literally forgetting and not focusing about the money, but focusing on your own growth. Because for me, if you take off MFF, I can go to FTMO, or I can go to my own personal funds and I can apply the same knowledge that made me money while I was using MFF. So one thing somebody, not me, not anybody else out there, one thing that can never get taken away from you is knowledge. Whether it's trading knowledge, whether it's other sorts of knowledge, that cannot be taken away. So same thing, right? In Iron Man 1. He was a smart guy. He was a genius. And he knew, hey, I need to leave this cave. I will build a suit from nothing, literally from scrap metal, and he was able to escape the cave. So same thing, right? If we think of what happened with MFF using this analogy, yes, they can take away our access because, right, Iron Man, Tony Stark didn't have his resources, his money to help him build the suit. So he had to go back to who he was right deep down. He had to go back to what he knew, which was engineering and building stuff. So for us as trader, as we wait for that to come to a conclusion, we have to dig back in and go back to what we know as traders. And what do we know as traders is that we know we have skills, we have strategies. So what do? We just find, and if you haven't already built a buffer using your own personal accounts and you still want to continue with the prop firm model, you go back. You can, if you were able to become profitable and consistent with MFF, you can go to FTMO, you can go to E8 funding, you can go, there are other prop firms out there that you can go to, and it does not matter. It's just a different forest, right? But the only thing that's consistent is you. So if you are already a profitable and disciplined trader, which is one thing, again, I cannot insist this enough, which is one thing I push to the members of my club, is becoming consistent, is becoming disciplined. I always tell them, forget about the money. Money will always be there. But the time and the knowledge, becoming skillful, and during times like this, that is when you actually see the truth behind that. Because if you are skilled, you can be able to shift. Okay, it's not nice, it's not a good feeling, but you can be able to shift to another prop firm, or even shift to your own personal money and build it the same way. Because remember, your knowledge, your skills, your goals haven't changed. It's just the execution. And sure, right, you can take a day and just recoup your thoughts. Really think about it. Who are you as a trader? What have you become as a trader? What are you becoming? What is trading making you? And I was talking to my group this morning and I was telling them, nowadays, how I'm thinking about trading, or how I am taking trading, is that ask myself, if I was doing this full time for the rest of my life and I have to take a trade, before I enter this trade, does it align to my strategies? Am I just trading just to be trading? Because there are people who just trade in order to trade. And again, trading is a journey, right? Because what I see now, sometimes I see other traders doing things that I was doing 3 years ago, 1 year ago, and I understand it's part of the process. But my goal is to shorten the learning curve, is to tell them, hey, I've been there, I've lost accounts, right? Whether it's from prop firms going down, or whether it's just on my own fault or on my own volition, but I have messed up. But the most you can do is to pick yourself up and keep moving. And from one of my native languages, there's a slang. So in Swahili, there's a slang that goes, siku moja itajipa. And what this means is that one day it will all work out. So you might be down right now if you're affected by the whole MFF situation, but remember, one day it will work out. If you've paid your dues, I believe the universe gives us what we ask for it. The universe is all about energy. So if you're putting positive energy out there, if you're literally putting in time, day in and day out, to study the markets and to develop strategies that are profitable, I believe that that energy you're putting out there will come back to you positively. It might take 1 week, it might take 1 month, it might take 6 months, it might take years, but the day it will all line up, you will thank yourself for not giving up. Just as Steve Jobs said, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. And I'm pretty sure maybe in a month, maybe in 2 months, you'll be looking back at this. Whatever you're going through, it might be trading, it might be other things, it might be the whole thing with MFF right now. But you'll be looking back and saying, oh, wait, I see, because this happened, now this has happened. Because you never know the result of something good happening. You never know the result of something bad happening. So yes, let's take time and roll back and see, okay, what could I have done better? Is there anything you could have done during, especially in this MFF situation? Then no, if it's not much you could have changed, then it was out of your hands. But then tell yourself, okay, how then do I proceed? So maybe you take 2 days off, maybe you take a week off, you do your due diligence to other prop firms, and then you say, okay, I'm taking this, I'm going to start from scratch and become a beginner again. Remember, even Steve Jobs himself, when he was fired from Apple, he had the same thing. He felt bad. He's like, okay, how can I be fired from a company that I started? And then he started feeling guilt. He started feeling like he had let all the inventors and investors in the Silicon Valley down. But he said, there's one thing he said. He said that the pain, the regret of falling was replaced, that regret of losing that was replaced by the newness of being a beginner. Because at that point, right, he had a clean slate to start from. So he had already hit rock bottom, and the only way to go was up. So take it upon yourself and say, your destiny is in your own hands. Don't blame the market conditions. Don't blame MFF or whatnot. Some things in life, they just happen and we do not have an explanation for. But one thing I like holding to account is myself. And for you guys who are good students of history, like I got this sign, I don't know if you guys can see this. It says the buck stops here. Now for you guys who are good students of history, this is a replica of the sign that one of the US presidents, President Harry S. Truman, had on his desk. It says the buck stops here. That's why so what this means is that you are your own person. Everything that happens in life is dependent upon you. You cannot keep passing and saying, oh, I'm not where I'm supposed to be because of X and X. And sure, external factors might come in, but at the end of the day, you should take responsibility. You should take charge and say, okay, maybe this happened. It wasn't my fault. However, how do I then correct this instead of just staying there and sulking and that might also affect other things, whether it's in your trading or life in general. But acknowledge that, yes, this happened. It wasn't, I didn't have it under my control. It wasn't anything that was within my control. And as we wait for this to happen and unravel, okay, what can I then do? Right? Because if you start thinking of solutions, then you'll spark your mind to see, okay, what next is there for me? And I believe if we do that in another month, in another 2 months, then we will be in a better place as traders and as humans in general. But anyway, until next time, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.